Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day considering the overall circumstances. It's been kind of a little crazy here today. And we'll be taking a look at, of course, the nonsensical stuff and obviously why things happen the way they did today. All right, because obviously a lot of altcoins are under attack. There's a reason for that. And we'll talk here, of course, shortly regarding that. If you're new to the channel, not a financial advisor, I just love teaching people how to trade. I hope you can learn something here today. My goal and my passion is to help you become a better trader. I love teaching people how to trade, become financially stable, and I can tell you it's a healthy lifestyle. I've been doing this for quite a long time. You just got to kind of stay consistent and level-headed. Again, a lot of different schools of thought there, but nonetheless, if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site. Link in the description below. I do look forward to working with you. I've had a lot of extra members here recently, of course, and it's really nice and encouraging to be able to see that. You know, not everyone's getting shaken out by the market. Hopefully you aren't either, because again, 31,000 is a good value for Bitcoin right now. We need to continue to dollar cost average wherever possible. That said, obviously there's different strategies involved there as well. I cover that in my Trading Academy, but more important, what we want to focus on here is a couple of things. First of all, there is potential for a relief rally. That's essentially why you see these yellow highlights here on the RSI being under 30. Anytime the price comes under 30, well, not necessarily any time, but majority of the times I've looked back in Bitcoin's history, and it happens more often than not, the price will inevitably recover. All right, now, granted, this is a pretty significant decrease, so we shouldn't expect the price to come up quickly. But if we were to see a relief rally, you know, it might try to come up and test 35, test 37, perhaps even 40. And then once again, strong likelihood the price is going to come back down from there to try to retest the 20-day SMA on the daily, or correction, on the monthly. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about that here. I'll go ahead and show you what I'm talking about there. Because if you look at, here, let's go with a different chart here. We can see, of course, I brought this up before, that we got, you know, the 20-day SMA. As soon as the price comes down below the 20-day SMA, it takes a while to recover, and we're kind of right at this point right now. All right, and what we do have coming for us is, again, the 50-day SMA working as a support level. You can see how it worked as a support here previously. That was roughly 3 years ago, back in 2019. All right, if we take a look where we're at presently, we can kind of see here, just kind of clear everything out for you. You can see right here, there's a 20-day SMA. We lost that. We're kind of in this downtrend for now. And then, of course, we see the 50. I'm not speaking very well today. The 50-day SMA is trending upwards at about 21,000. Okay, so there's a potential likelihood of that getting tested or touched in the relative near future, next couple of months. All right. Now, it's not to say we won't have the price increase or decrease between now and then. It's not going to shoot straight to that point. The likelihood of that's very low. But once again, as we saw today with CPI data and everything coming out, everything's on a razor's edge right now for the most part. And the main reason why is because obviously we lose 30,000. That's a very strong support level. Or I shouldn't even say strong support at this point. What I should say, though, is that losing 30,000, which is where our strong amount of volume accumulation is in the last 2 years, it is disadvantageous because we don't have a lot of volume between here and there, and it would effectively become a free fall. So there is strong potential that if we close below 30,000, that we will start seeing a trend forming, a continuation of the downside. However, regardless of how overextended it may be, will come down likely to the range of 21, 22,000. That's a probability. Okay, so just try to wrap your head around that. That might work. That might happen. It may not too, of course. There's definitely no guarantees, but generally speaking, at this point, a closure above 30,000 is extremely important to maintain. Today it dipped down below that, but that was once again CPI data. So if we take a look here, we can see, of course, a very large candle wick down that was immediately corrected. And if you look at the smaller time frames, you can see just how quickly it recovered. Once again, CPI data came out, price shot down. Most altcoins went down 20 to 40%. Now, we don't even need to talk about Luna because obviously that's a whole other conversation. But generally speaking, Bitcoin here is interesting, to say the least. And what's awesome about it is the fact that it recovered so quickly that it's almost as if it didn't happen. So it's a very, very good sign. It kind of shows that the CPI data may not have as much of an effect as we would think. Obviously, it did initially. Probably got a lot of stop losses triggered for long positions, and then turn around. A lot of shorts got wrecked too. So a big reset button, so to speak, that did effectively happen today. So anyways, just kind of some other stuff to kind of think about and to look at. But key takeaway here, of course, we're still under all the moving averages on the daily. That's never a good sign. Peaking up over 30 on the RSI does imply we should see a continuation of the upside over the next coming days or weeks. Once again, Do not get excited if we see 35,000. Don't get excited if we see 37,500, which is another key level resistance. Get excited if we break 40/45/48,000. Those are cases in point where we're going to be effectively making higher highs and higher lows on the daily, the weekly, and possibly even the monthly. And at that point, we're going to be looking in a much better position. For now, we have to anticipate and expect the price is going to go down overall in general over the next couple of months. Right, just based on the overall trend that we saw, previously in previous Bitcoin cycles. All right. Again, no guarantees on that. It doesn't necessarily have to happen because it happened before. But history is a really strong indication, that's pretty much what technical analysis is, of what's going to happen next based on its history. Right. All right. That being said, looking at the RSI, we can see obviously we're up over 30, or just peaking above. A closure above 30 on the RSI would be helpful. I would say that a clean close above 31.5 today would be advantageous there to kind of get above that resistance level. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. We are testing, or potentially testing, the 20-day SMA. This is a good sign. If we can get back up above that, that would be 1 out of 6 indicators essentially that I feel are beneficial, and we'd be kind of trending towards potentially getting over another. So again, it would not mean much at all to get up over the 20, but a lot of times 20 on the 4-hour is a good starting point. We also have a MACD convergence, of course, that occurred yesterday, but I'm not super excited about that just based on the simple fact that it's kind of natural for that to happen. We have such a strong downtrend. And then, of course, RSI is back up over 30 on the 4-hour, which is good. We want to be back up over 50. So once again, a closure above, just say 32,000, almost just say 33,000 would probably put us there. Again, depends on the overall strength here and how soon we'd get there, but generally speaking, we want to see way more than 31,500 at this point. All right, that's kind of where we're at there for the simple moving averages and the 4-hour. We can kind of see if we look at TD sequential, not much going on here, a lot of resets, but we did come all the way down to a 9, and of course going sideways from here. So that's a good sign in that sense, telling us we shouldn't expect much more downside. Looking at the 1-hour, if we take a look here, of course, not a lot to extract regarding TD sequential, kind of just telling us we got sideways action. But I'm curious about the cloud now and where we're at. We're still getting rejected by the cloud, so there's no full-on confirmation there. And in fact, you could argue that this is a lower low, and that's disadvantageous, but this is kind of a one-off. CPI data doesn't happen all that often, so I don't think we should worry about that too much. What we should worry about is the fact that we're not above the upper lead on the Ichimoku cloud. So ultimately, again, another day or two above 31,500, we'll be in pretty good shape. Okay, so it just has to go sideways for a little bit longer so we can get on the right side of the tracks and be pretty good here. But generally speaking, this is telling us if you have a short position, you should have closed it a long time ago, because the likelihood of the price coming tremendously lower from here is low. Once again, overextended on the RSI. TD sequential tells us on the 4-hour that we got to an exhaustive state recently. So a relief rally makes perfect sense at this point. Again, it's not going to be a shot to 48,000. I don't think we're going to see that. If we do, of course, we'll bridge that gap, but the likelihood of coming up to, just say 33, 35, 37.5 is pretty high, but getting rejected at any of those levels is also very high. All right, so we got to break those trends, that essential downtrend that we're seeing here, in order to effectively be in good shape. So, hypothetically, the price comes up here, goes sideways. Only at this point, once we break above this trend line, will I feel much better about what's going on, and much better, of course, if we're above 37.5. So I'd say 37.5 is a pretty strong resistance level, or you could round up and say 38,000. Essentially, right in that range, though, we can see a tremendous amount of support previously, reiterating the fact that it'll be a tremendous amount of resistance when we get there. Okay, so again, just some things to kind of think about, but in general here, Bitcoin looks like it does want to recover. I do feel as if we're going to see somewhat of recovery from Bitcoin in the relative near future, but again, I wouldn't take too many leverage positions. If you do, have really tight profit targets. That's what we've done as a community actually recently. We took some decent profits yesterday, 20-30% in that range with leverage positions, but it was only a 1 or 2% gain in the overall sense of how tight we kept it. So instead of shooting for a 5 or 10% gain, while that could still happen, what we just saw recently here with the price coming all the way down, getting wicked out, a lot of folks got stopped out for no reason based on the simple fact that they didn't take profits soon enough. All right, so try to consider that. Again, take profits as much as you can at this point, and I think that'll probably help you out a lot. All right, again, these are all things that I practice in my trading community, and of course, my signal group. When I send out signals, you see how I structure my trades, and you got to adjust your trades based on the market that you're in. We're in this crazy, unique downtrends, potentially a channel trading now at this point. We might be range bound. And until we kind of determine if that has shifted or changed, we need to kind of change our mindset to be able to take profits when we can, instead of just kind of letting things ride, because we can see what happens when things ride. They continue to go down, and you're going to be stuck in a position. I'll be honest, there's a handful of positions I still have open as well that I'm waiting for them to recover. It might take a lot longer than expected, but the reason why those are okay is because I used a very small amount. And honestly, if you're going to be trading without a stop loss, just make sure you're not trading with a lot of money. Again, different things, different strokes for different folks, but just some friendly advice there. All right, anyways, that's kind of what we got here for today. Nothing super exciting. It is interesting what happened today with CPI data, but I don't really think that is going to thoroughly impact us. It did obviously initially, but we've seen that swift recovery, showing that 30,000 is a point of contention, and a lot of folks feel that 30,000 is a good value. It could also have to do, of course, with Luna and everything that's going on there as well, but that's a conversation for another day. I hope that you learned something here today, of course. If you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is the site. Link in the description below, and I do look forward to working with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.